The world often expects royalty to speak through tradition, gilded portraits, grand balconies, and the echo of ancient bells. But as Catherine, Princess of Wales, steps into her 44th year, she has chosen a different language. One spoken in the soft rustle of Berkshire leaves and the silver stillness of a winter morning. 1 year ago, headlines fell quiet as she stepped away to face the bravest chapter of her life, a journey through cancer treatment and recovery. Today, that silence has transformed into something deeper. Instead of a formal royal address, Catherine offers the world a private reflection, the final chapter of her Mother Nature film series. In a winter landscape where a stream slows just enough to mirror our own reflection, we find her not as a global icon, but as a woman who has learned that even the coldest seasons serve a purpose. They ask us to pause, to listen, and to heal. Beyond the palace walls at the family's Windsor home, her birthday is marked simply by handwritten cards, children's laughter, and the quiet triumph of an ordinary day. In this moment of reflection and renewal, Catherine reminds us that true strength does not always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives softly, like the first light of a winter dawn. The Winter Symphony. Diaries from the Earth. In the hushed stillness of the Berkshire countryside, what lingers in the mind isn't the familiar glamour of a princess, but a confession as raw and honest as a private diary entry. Catherine didn't choose a polished royal address. She chose the language of the earth to speak about life itself. 1 year after announcing her remission from cancer, she stands amidst the silver light of winter, delivering a powerful truth. Nature isn't just a backdrop, it is a masterclass in survival. Have you ever wondered why we find such a strange, profound comfort in a forest shedding its leaves? We often view the loss of leaves as a sign of weakness or decay. But for Catherine, nature became her soul's filter. She shares that during her darkest hours in 2024, when the weight of fear felt insurmountable, the ancient woods were the only thing vast enough to hold her burden. She began to see that the trees weren't dying, they were simply conserving their energy. Just as the towering oaks near Adelaide Cottage dropped their gold to survive the frost, she learned that we, too, must find the courage to let go. To shed the anxiety, to drop the uncertainty of a medical diagnosis, and to protect the resilient core that remains within. It's a stripping away of the ego, a realization that beneath the royal titles and the public expectations, there is a fundamental human spirit that just needs to breathe. Catherine's journey offers a profound lesson in the art of waiting. In a modern world obsessed with speed, where success is measured by how fast we move, winter taught her a counterintuitive philosophy. Stillness isn't the end, it's the preparation. Think about the sheer discipline it takes to wait. She reflects on the realization that you cannot force a flower to bloom in January, nor can you rush a human body back to health. There is a sacred timeline to healing that no amount of royal privilege can bypass. The patience she gathered from the rhythm of the seasons became the key to enduring her grueling course of preventative chemotherapy. Each session was a winter of its own, cold, weary, and slow. But she embraced this tempo, turning it into a therapy of its own, understanding that every step of recovery requires a deep, quiet respect for time. Do we have the courage to look at ourselves in a rushing stream? Catherine answers with poetic grace through the metaphor of winter waters. In the peak of summer, the water moves too fast, distorted by the chaos of life. She discovered that it is only when the current slows and the surface turns to glass under the winter chill that we can truly see our own reflection. Those solitary walks through the fields weren't just for fresh air. They were for facing the most authentic version of herself, a woman without a crown, without the spotlight, holding on to nothing but gratitude and the sheer will to live. How often do we allow ourselves that kind of honesty? To stand in the cold and not try to hide from it, but to let it show us who we really are when everything else is stripped away. True healing doesn't require a loud declaration of strength. It doesn't need a press release or a grand comeback. It happens in the absolute silence of the heart, where you dare to look directly at your wounds and smile back at them. Catherine reminds us that the earth is never more alive than when it is silent. At 44, she is proving that the greatest power isn't found in shouting your victory to the world, but in finding your peace in the eye of the storm. As the winter sun fades over the bare branches, her message lingers like wood smoke in the air. Do not fear your own winter. Do not resent the seasons where you feel bare or broken. For beneath the cold snow, in that invisible space where no one is watching, life is quietly, stubbornly taking root deeper than ever before. It is in the dark that we prepare for the light. Behind the gates of Windsor, the warmth of the everyday. Stepping away from the silent skeletal woods of Berkshire where Catherine shared her symphony of rebirth, our journey takes us to Adelaide Cottage, a modest home tucked into the historic folds of the Windsor estate. If the Mother Nature film was the voice of a woman facing her own soul, what happens behind these doors is the answer to a simpler question. What is the fuel that keeps her moving forward? Have you ever wondered what the birthday of a future queen actually looks like? You might imagine endless banquet tables, flickering candlelight, and formal gowns. But Catherine's 44th birthday was a simple victory for the ordinary. Amidst the crushing pressure of her title and the relentless gaze of the global media, Catherine has leaned into what many now call the luxury of the mundane. At the heart of this celebration isn't a guest list of dignitaries, but the chaotic, pure affection of George, Charlotte, and Louis. There are no diamond-encrusted trinkets here. Instead, the real treasures are the lopsided handmade cards and the cupcakes picked out by small, eager hands. In the kitchen of Adelaide Cottage, you won't find a fleet of royal chefs. Instead, you find a mother and her children sharing afternoon tea. It is a scene that feels remarkably relatable, yet for a Princess of Wales, it is a radical choice. It's a declaration that while status may be something you inherit, family is something you build every single day through your presence. But don't be fooled. This simplicity doesn't diminish her royal standing. In fact, it's the secret sauce of her soft power. Tucked between the children's laughter was a deeply symbolic gift from King Charles III, a storied heirloom that carries the weight of history. To understand the gravity of this gift, one must look at the bond forged in the fires of 2024. Both the king and the princess faced the same mountain, a battle with cancer that stripped away the artifice of royalty and left only their shared humanity. This gift wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was a profound gesture of trust and a passing of the torch from one survivor to another. For the king to pass down such a treasure during a private family moment proves that Catherine is no longer just a daughter-in-law. She has become the central pillar of the monarchy's stability, the steady hand that will guide the crown into the next generation. Can a crown feel lighter when it sits next to a warm heart? The answer is found in the way Catherine and William protect their sanctuary. Amidst the heavy gears of state duty, William remains her quiet shield. We often see them as the perfect public duo, but 2024 revealed the marrow of their marriage. The warmth at Windsor doesn't just come from the fireplace, it comes from the way they navigated the storm together, choosing school runs over red carpets and privacy over publicity. A small bouquet of wildflowers from the garden, or simply an afternoon without the glare of a camera flash, this is how they are redefining modern royalty. The spotlight only shines truly bright when it is fueled by peace at home. The contrast between her high status and her grounded lifestyle is what makes Catherine so magnetic. She is proving that a woman can be the icon of a nation while still being the mother who bakes the birthday cake. This isn't a performance. It's a lifestyle choice born from walking the line between life and death. When you have faced true health scares, the vanity of the world falls away, leaving room only for what matters: human connection. How many of us, if given the world, would still choose the simple kitchen table? By choosing the ordinary, Catherine has made herself extraordinary. The true strength of a monarchy doesn't lie in its distance, but in its capacity for empathy. At 44, standing between the priceless treasures of history and the crayon-colored cards of her children, Catherine has become the ultimate bridge between a grand past and a modern future. She has shown that you don't need a balcony to be seen, and you don't need a scepter to lead. As the birthday at Windsor winds down, the children drift off to sleep, and the lights in Adelaide Cottage soften, we realize that the rebirth Catherine found in nature has come full circle here. Healing isn't just a solitary walk in the woods, it's the grace of returning to the arms of those who love you. The Princess of Wales doesn't need to announce her power. It radiates through the simplicity and sincerity found behind palace doors. This, perhaps, is her most precious crown, one that no master jeweler could ever replicate. From weighty Katie to the heart of the monarchy, to truly grasp the powerful stillness in Catherine's 44th birthday video, we have to look back, more than a decade back. It has been a long journey, one not nearly as rose-colored as it appeared from the outside. Instead, it has been a rigorous masterclass in resilience, transforming a young woman from the suburbs into the very heartbeat of a dynasty. Do you remember the bride who walked into Westminster Abbey in 2011? Back then, the world watched her with a mix of curiosity and sharp, unforgiving judgment. The tabloids cruelly dubbed her Weighty Katie, mocking a young woman they thought was simply biding her time for a title. But looking at the Catherine of 44 today, standing self-assured in the Berkshire woods, we realize that waiting was never about idleness. It was the patience of a soul learning to take deep, unshakable root before facing the inevitable storms. The transition from 2011 to 2026 is more than a change in title from the Duchess of Cambridge to the Princess of Wales. It has been a quiet glow-up of epic proportions. Catherine didn't choose to grab headlines with loud manifestos. She chose to win over the public through sheer consistency. From those first tentative steps alongside Queen Elizabeth II, she quietly observed, learned, and distilled a royal persona that is now the gold standard. Composed, precise, yet undeniably warm. How many of us could maintain that level of grace when every gesture, every outfit, and even our most private pains are placed under a global microscope? Catherine did. Her refinement reached its zenith in 2024, the year of her most grueling trial. Facing a cancer diagnosis, she chose not to crumble, but to meet the world with breathtaking honesty. The vulnerability she showed during her treatment didn't diminish her stature. It pulled the monarchy closer to the hearts of the people than ever before. She was no longer a distant icon on a balcony. She became a friend and a fellow traveler to anyone fighting their own uphill battle. The most poignant lesson from this 15-year journey is the affirmation of her character. At 44, Catherine possesses the beauty of someone who has walked through the valley of shadow and touched the light of rebirth. The fine lines at the corners of her eyes aren't just marks of time, they are the badges of her endurance. She turned the suffocating pressure of the crown into the fuel for meaningful change, from early childhood education to mental health advocacy. Now, when the bells of Westminster Abbey ring for her birthday, it isn't just a royal protocol. It's a tribute to a woman who used silence to dismantle prejudice and sincerity to warm up cold traditions. Catherine has proven that true power doesn't lie in demanding authority, but in knowing how to remain calm amidst the chaos of life. A rose takes time to reach full bloom, and Catherine has spent 15 years becoming the most vibrant blossom in the United Kingdom. As we close this chapter, we see a woman who isn't waiting for anything anymore. She has already earned her crown, a crown woven from public affection and historical respect. She isn't just the wife of a future king. She is the embodiment of a modern monarchy, resilient, human, and profoundly alive. As the final frames of Catherine's nature film fade to black, we realize that her 44th birthday is far more than just a milestone. It is a powerful declaration of rebirth. From the quiet depths of the Berkshire woods to the radiant warmth behind the doors of Windsor, every thread of this story weaves the portrait of a woman who has transformed the scars of her trials into a guiding light. She hasn't just recovered. She has evolved into the most resilient and human version of herself. The light ahead for Catherine is no longer the cold sparkle of a jeweled crown, but the warm dawn of a soul that has found its peace. She stands at the intersection of history and family, reminding us all that after the longest winter, the light doesn't just return, it arrives brighter and purer than ever before. Now we want to hear from you. Which moment from Catherine's 15-year journey has resonated with you the most? Was it the grand bride of 2011, or the quiet, courageous woman we see today? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. If this story touched you, please hit that like button and subscribe to join our community for more deep dives into the lives of inspiring icons. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.